Yes, welcome to the show. This is Radio Free Professional Wrestling, and what a week of professional wrestling it was. We had to return to Rock. We had Wrestle Kingdom. We had probably one of the best female matches of the last 6 months happen on Monday Night Raw. Then we had one on SmackDown as well, and we'll get to those later. But first, my co-host, no other than Ashlee. Ashlee, how you doing?
I'm good, Shawn. How are you doing?
Doing well. I gotta say I'm back off vacation, so I'm catching up on that fun stuff. So let's get this ball on the road here. Let's go to the control center to catch you up on the weekend professional wrestling.
This is your Radio Free Pro Wrestling Control Center. All the wrestling news you need to know.
So Ashlee, unfortunately, Rush tore his hamstring early on, apparently, in the Continental Classic tournament, and still wrestled the freaking tournament. So he's going to be out for a couple of months now.
Yes, this is devastating news for me, honestly. If you have listened at all to this podcast, you'd know how much I love Rush. And I mean, to know now it was that bad of an injury and he still put on the quality of matches afterward that he did in the Continental Classic is crazy. And I really hope Tony Khan sees like that effort and rewards it when Rush gets back and is healthy.
Very true. I mean, he's had a very up and down time in AEW, but I feel like this last run he had before he got this injury with the hamstring has been some of his best work. And hopefully Tony Khan does see this and go this guy's still perform excellent, even though not being 100%.
Absolutely. I mean, just great matches post-injury. Get well soon, Rush.
Well, let's go ahead and have some good news here. Okay, so my second story for you, Ashlee. Pac is returned to AEW in the near future, according to Penta El Zero during a virtual signing. We haven't seen Pac since July of last year when he had to miss some time for an undisclosed injury. I can't wait to see Pac back into this mix we have now in AEW. He could easily fit in there with the Continental title and face Eddie Kingston or, hey, Orange Cassidy with that international title.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, it sucks to lose somebody of Rush's caliber, but to get somebody of Pac's caliber coming back is great news. Been out for a long time, like you said, and I think Blood and Guts, I think, his last match?
I do believe it was Blood and Guts. It's been that long.
Yeah, so that was the end of July. So great news to hear that he's coming back. I can't wait to see him come back. And like you said, take on some of these kind of like up-and-coming talents that have been making more of a name for themselves.
True, and I feel like you could easily slide him back into the upper mid card because with Rush being out for a while, you need somebody to take that spot.
Right. I'd like to see somebody like Pac versus Kyle Fletcher. I think that could be great.
Or Swerve Strickland.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're moving on to my third story of the week for you, Ashlee. As this is kind of rumorish, so take this with a grain of salt. As Fightful is reporting that Julia has signed an extension with Stardom, and she is a little bit unhappy that the news about her talking with the WWE kind of leaked out. We still don't know if she's going over to WWE. And according to the story with Fightful, she was wanting to be the person to negotiate this with WWE. So stay tuned there, because if she moves over to WWE, I can see her easily signing into SmackDown. I mean, I wanted to have her in NXT for just a little bit just to get her accustomed to the North American style. But you got Io Sky over there, you got Asuka, adding her to Damage Control, and you boot Bayley out of it and make Bayley a babyface. That would probably work.
Yeah, that could definitely work. There's been a lot of news about Julia, a lot of stuff kind of coming out and getting like rescinded or kind of going back on. I definitely think we might have to wait and see a little bit on this one to see what's concrete.
Very true. Okay, so my fourth news story for you this week. Former NWA Women's Champion Camille is rumored to head to NXT. She had a 6-month ascension with NWA, but she gave notice back in October. And according to Figure 4 Weekly, she's probably heading to NXT in the WWE. I would bypass NXT. Nick Aldis is sitting there on Friday Night SmackDown, and he could use a heavy. Why not just go back and introduce Camille as Nick Aldis' backup? That would be a fun thing to see again.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if they want to just try to get her acclimated to like the WWE style and how they, how their cameras are and everything like that. That might just be a concern. But I mean, Camille is a great talent, and I'm not surprised WWE is picking her up. Like, no shock there. Like you said, she's had a great run in NWA, and I mean, maybe give her like just a few months in NXT, but bump her up very quick if you do at all.
Very true. That's the way I would do it if I was in control of NXT and WWE. Now, my 15th story for you comes from New Year's Dash. If you were able to watch that show on Friday after Wrestle Kingdom, you got a treat. Because after the New Japan Pro Wrestling TV title match with the Ace, he defended his championship for the first time. At the end of the match, there was a video that played, and we're getting Matt Riddle to New Japan Pro Wrestling, and he's going after the Ace.
Yeah, I think he just had one other match, right? I think that was his first match back. I think it was an MLW.
He had one match with MLW. I remember that happened probably this last week or so. And he's going to be on the card for Battle in the Valley. Him and the mystery partner versus Zack Sabre Jr. And exactly. That's going to be a fun match. I was worrying, who the heck do you team Matt Riddle up with?
I don't know. Do you have him partner up with somebody existing? Is there another debut in the works? I don't know. I will say kind of a divided reaction from what I saw, at least on social media.
True. I saw the same thing because a lot of people are kind of interested to see how this works, just for the simple fact that Japan has some very strict laws dealing with something that Matt Riddle enjoys a lot of.
Well, he seems to be a little more serious. So hopefully he's kind of cleaned up his act and he can kind of be a little more serious and get back on track here in New Japan if he's here to stay.
Well, I feel like this might be a good place for him to rehab and get back into the groove and get good PR going, because his exit for the WWE was not the greatest.
Yeah, and especially with a few incidents outside and after, even post WWE.
So we'll just have to stay tuned to see how that goes. And we can't leave Wrestle Kingdom without saying we had one other debut, as Nick Neff, the former Dolph Ziggler, was sitting ringside during the New Japan Pro Wrestling Heavyweight Tag Team Championship match, and he kind of had a little run-in with one David Finlay. So it looks like we're going to see a little bit of Nick Neff and maybe his brother in New Japan Pro Wrestling. That would be kind of cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Dolph Ziggler has always been a great talent and kind of underappreciated. Well, I mean, he's had his moments, but overall kind of underappreciated. But I'd love to see what he could do in New Japan and see if like his charisma and his in-ring ability kind of match up with the talents in New Japan.
Well, we're in the process of phasing out Will Ospreay from being a full-time New Japan Pro Wrestling wrestler. So they need a new foreign talent to come in to replace Will. I couldn't think of a better person to do it than Dolph Ziggler or Nick Neff.
Yeah, he seems to be going by just his name. And the promo package that he released on social media was pretty cool. So I'm pretty excited to see what he's going to do in New Japan.
Me as well. I gotta say, it's going to be a very interesting 2024 in professional wrestling, especially as we see more of the former WWE talent that got released back in September. They're all clear from their non-compete. So now it's just a matter of time where they pop up.
Yeah, Mustafa Ali's got some crazy matches lined up that he was posting on social media.
So next week on Radio Free Professional Wrestling, we're going to run down the Mustafa Ali World Tour. Let me tell you, it's a world tour.
Yeah, it looks insane.
And I'm all here for it. Okay, that has been your Control Center for January the 8th, 2024 here on Radio Free Professional Wrestling. Ashlee, we're moving over to the Stunning 6 questions this week.
Time to ring the bell as Shawn and Ashlee debate 6 stunning questions from the week of wrestling. All the whys and what the hell was that?
And my very first stunning question to you, we just talked about in the Control Center. What do you think about Nick Neff, Dolph Ziggler's feature with New Japan Pro Wrestling?
Well, as I was saying, I'm very excited. Dolph Ziggler has a crazy amount of charisma, and he's always been very skilled in ring. His selling ability is second to none, honestly. And to see him kind of paired up with even some of like New Japan's talents, I'm very excited to see where this is going, especially if he's going to go up against Bullet Club and take on like a major babyface role.
True. I feel like they were looking for somebody to replace Will Ospreay as he's going on to AEW full time. And they're going, we got Dolph Ziggler out here just hanging loose, and he just got released from the WWE. Why not pull the trigger? And they apparently have. And having his first possible feud to be with David Finlay in the Bullet Club and going after this new New Japan Pro Wrestling Global Heavyweight Championship, why not?
Yeah. Honestly, I think that belt is beautiful.
It's a very nice belt. And I feel like Dolph Ziggler / Nick Neff is a perfect choice to be the first opponent for David Finlay. You know what? I guarantee you they can't have a bad match.
No, like I said, Nick Nemeth is so good at like his selling and his in-ring work. He's going to make David Finlay look like $1 million when they have their showdown.
Very true. We're going on to the second stunning question, as we say in New Japan Pro Wrestling, and it's going to deal with one Matt Riddle. Ashlee, how long do you see Matt Riddle in New Japan Pro Wrestling?
I honestly don't know. We already have a couple of matches like planned out so far, so I don't know if we're signing him to anything extensive or if he's coming in for just something short term. I mean, I could see him maybe coming in for at least a year for now. If, as we've kind of noted, he's had some issues. As long as he keeps his nose out of trouble, I could see him staying for a while as long as he works out and like I said, doesn't get in too much trouble. I'm worried, but I'm willing to give it a shot.
Well, I got a feeling that they're going to keep him with like New Japan Strong here in the States and then bring him over for the bigger shows for New Japan Pro Wrestling in Japan. So you probably wouldn't see him like every month in Japan. He might not do a full tour in Japan. It might be the Benin. It might be the G1. Can you imagine Matt Riddle in the G1?
That would be nuts, honestly.
I kind of want to see it now as those pictures in my head because I feel like, ooh, him versus Filthy Tom Lawler. We need that before he leaves New Japan Pro Wrestling. I want to see that.
Yeah, I love Filthy Tom Lawler. To see him take on somebody like that would be great, I think.
Okay, so we're moving on to my third stunning question of the week. Ashlee, is the Undisputed Kingdom just a lesser version of the Undisputed Era?
I don't think it's a knockoff of the Undisputed Era. I think their problem is using this name, though. They keep trying to do this like Undisputed thing with Adam Cole in factions in AEW. They try to do like the Undisputed Elite, but that lasted like about a month or so before everything sort of fell apart and Bobby Fish ended up leaving and Luke and Gallows ended up not coming back. I wish they would have gone with possibly like just a completely different rebranding to kind of separate themselves from kind of keeping like an attempt to stay linked to the Undisputed name. But overall, I like the faction.
So I do like the faction. You have Matt Bennett, Matt Taven, Adam Cole, Wardlow, and Roderick Strong. All we're missing is when he gets healthy, maybe Kyle O'Reilly, because we need Kyle O'Reilly to join this group. If we're going to call this the Undisputed Kingdom, we need Kyle O'Reilly.
Yeah, I'm hoping we hear some news on how he's progressing. I can't wait to see him come back.
Me too. And getting back to the question here about this being maybe a lesser version of the Undisputed Era, I feel like I'm just cutting hairs here because I feel like I can see why they want to try to keep this kind of like linked with Adam Cole and using the quote unquote as close as we can get legally to use the Undisputed Era as we can. So here we have the Kingdom. We get to call it the Undisputed Kingdom, and we're not saying Undisputed Era because you haven't seen Adam Cole yet say that's undisputed.
Well, can he? Is that? I mean, I don't know if that's something that they would have.
That's an interesting bridge that they're going to have to think about before they cross it.
Yeah. Simple phrase, but it could get them in trouble if there's something trademarked. So
true. Okay, we're moving on to our fourth stunning question of the week. Did Wrestle Kingdom over-deliver? Because coming into this Wrestle Kingdom 18, a lot of people were underwhelmed by the main event being Sonata versus Naito. So, Ashlee, did it overperform? Or did we just have such a low standard that it just overseeded our expectations?
I don't know. I thought this card was fantastic. If we're talking about like over-delivery and people being disappointed, then yeah, it did over-deliver because I thought the main event, despite a few rough spots due to like Naito's, his how he's doing his condition right now, overall I thought was fantastic and like super emotional.
I'd agree with you. I feel like there's at least 2 matches a year and probably 4 that are kind of match of the month candidates. And my second part to this question, did Okada versus the American Dragon overshadow the main event?
I will say this. In terms of in-ring stuff, it did overshadow it in a way. But to me, this is why wrestling is so great, because you can enjoy Danielson and Okada for what it is, which is just two guys trying to prove they are the best professional wrestler in the world. But then you could go to something like Naito and Sonata, which is all of this like deep rooted. There's so much history between these guys, and there's so much more than just the wrestling match on the line. There's all this pride and there's all this tension between these two former friends. And to me, like, that makes them both equal in a way.
Okay, so for the record, I didn't make it all the way through Wrestle Kingdom Live. I made it to like 3 messages before the end, so I took me a nice little nap about 5 o'clock in the morning and finished up Wrestle Kingdom Thursday afternoon, where I watched Will Ospreay, Jon Moxley, David Finlay, Okada, and the American Dragon, and then Sonata, then Naito. And honestly, I feel like the main event delivered just enough to keep it near Okada versus Danielson. But anyway, we had a hard time to go against the second Okada American Dragon match.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially with Bryan Danielson returning to Japan for the first time in like 20 years, and like how badly he's wanted this match and how badly he's wanted to wrestle in Japan again. Like, even everything about it was great. And then, like I said, like something like the ending of Naito and Sonata was so unexpectedly emotional, with like Naito getting the big win, getting the championship, getting to do the roll call, but before so getting attacked by Evil and Sonata coming to his rescue, and kind of like earning the respect that Naito had been taunting him that he didn't have from the New Japan fans. And Sonata breaking down and crying was honestly like super emotional.
Well, I got a feeling maybe this is the way they're going to bring Sonata back around to the title eventually, and he may be the next person to be the main homegrown talent for New Japan Pro Wrestling to have the World Heavyweight title again.
Yeah, I absolutely think he did like a fantastic job for himself at the end of Wrestle Kingdom in getting himself over with the fans, kind of in a way that he probably didn't have before Wrestle Kingdom. And I could definitely see them going back to him as champion in the future. But like I said, I'm so happy for Naito to at least get one final run, it seems, before he seems to be on his way out. Because as much as we love him, that he looks in rough shape. But I am so happy for him to get one last run.
Me as well. And yes, he's getting towards that ace status where I love the guy, but I kind of go like, we don't need to see every so often in the ring. Can you be vice president with the ace? That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're moving on to the next stunning question of the week. How big of a get is it for AEW to get one Deonna Purrazzo into their women's division? As if you didn't watch Wednesday Night Dynamite, we saw the debut of Mariah May. She had one hell of a match. At the end of the match, she ran down New Jersey, and Deonna Purrazzo came out and taught her that thou shalt not do that.
I think this is absolutely a great signing for AEW for a few reasons. One, Deonna Purrazzo is a hell of a talent. We've seen what she can do in TNA/Impact, and how she carried herself as champion, and what she's even come in and had a match in AEW previously. Her to come in and especially seemingly to right off the bat want to go after Mariah May. Can't wait to see that. And on another front, we've kind of talked in the past about how AEW has struggled with the women's division. And I've said in the past that I think that would possibly deter women from signing with AEW. But we have seen at least some progress in the past few weeks. And the signing of somebody like Deonna Purrazzo, I think, shows even other free agent women out there that, hey, like, they do seem to be making an effort. Somebody like Deonna Purrazzo is signing with AEW. You know, maybe women who were kind of seeing the struggles they had are kind of thinking twice.
True, because I feel like Deonna wouldn't sign with AEW unless she was sure that she's going to get at least the spot that she feels like she deserves to have.
Exactly. And absolutely nobody should sign if they, feel like they're not going to get the spot they should. I'm very excited for this. And after seeing Mariah Mays debut against Queen Aminata, I was blown away. I can't wait to see Mariah May and Deonna Purrazzo down the line.
Exactly, because that match between Queen Aminata and Mariah May was one great match. And after I'm going like, oh, how by the way, Mariah May, one of the best drop kicks I have ever seen.
Yeah, that was so good.
So yeah, this scene, Mariah May and her interactions with Deanna, and this is the fact we saw Mariah May in the ring for the first time in North America. I was like, I really want to see this match now, and this would be the perfect match for them to start with. And I know some people are going like, man, they kind of rain on Mariah May's debut, but wait a minute, they're just making her feud with the person they just signed. And oh, by the way, the signing is one of the biggest signings for the company.
Yeah, and absolutely. And like I said, like, it kind of opens the door for other possible talents to kind of take a second look or a first look at AEW. And I can't wait to see the kind of like long-term feuds she gets into. I can't wait to see her in some sort of feud like long-term. So I hope this Mariah May stuff goes back and forth for a bit.
It's going to be an interesting spring for AEW. They're coming off of one of their worst pay-per-views, but if you look at that Wednesday Dynamite, it was like night and day. That Dynamite was one of the best shows they ever had.
Honestly, that Dynamite was insane. And then Collision was honestly usually my go-to show, but I thought Dynamite blew it out of the water this week.
You know, Collision wasn't a typical Collision show. They had two really good matches, but there's some stuff in the middle that kind of felt like AEW Dark.
Yeah, I'd agree. Outside of like I think the main event especially, it was a little lackluster.
Okay, final stunning question of the week. I'm going back to Monday Night Raw. If you've been living underneath a rock, you might have missed the return of one Dwayne Johnson to the WWE. And actually, my question for you is, does The Rock's return throw a rich and Cody's ever-ending story to get that title?
I'll say it's tough to say. It could. I think it will depend on where like Endeavor and TKO's kind of, where they're going to put their money. I think we do get Rock versus Roman, though.
Well, there's reports that Perth, when they got the deal with WWE for Elimination Chamber, one of the things they wanted the WWE to try to see if they could deliver was Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. So my question is, do we see Rock versus Roman at Elimination Chamber?
Possibly. Have they said how long he's going to be there yet, or no?
No, we don't know if he's going to be there for a bit. All we know that he dropped one line that has set the internet wrestling rumors on fire. It's at the end of his promo with Jinder Mahal, where he's going like, before I leave San Diego, can you tell me, should I sit in a booth? Do you want me to sit by the bar, or do you want me to sit at the head of the table?
Well, it sounds like they're already hinting at it. I don't know if this pushes Cody back out of that picture completely, or if it pushes him back out of it for now.
Well, how about this? Would you want to see Rock versus Roman on night 1, then Cody versus Roman on night 2, or do you do a triple threat for that title on night 2 with Cody, Roman, and The Rock?
I mean, that would be a hell of a match if they did a triple threat.
Because honestly, I guess the triple threat might not be their ideal way to go. Personally, me, I would do it because I feel like if you're going to give Cody that super rocket push, him win the title from Roman and The Rock in the same match, there you go.
Yeah, that would. I mean, Cody's already insanely over with the WWE audience, and beating somebody alone like The Rock and then somebody like Roman on top of it, through the roof, man.
True. So we have some time to wait and figure this out, and I got a feeling that we'll be talking about this in the future episodes of Rave Free Professional Wrestling. Ashlee, final segment of the week is our top 5 matches of the week.
It's Shawn and Ashlee's top 5 matches of the week. As they count down their 5 favourite matches from the past week, did your favourite match make the cut?
And I'll put top 5 in quotation marks because this has been one heck of a week to just pick 5.
Yeah, I got a couple that I'm going to just, we don't have to talk about them, but I'm just going to mention them.
Do you want to go first or you want me to go first?
You can go first, that's fine.
Okay, so I got 2 honorable mentions here in my top 5 matches of the week list. My first one, we kind of talked about in the Stunning 6 Questions. It's Mariah May versus Queen Admiana. You need to go back and watch this debut match by Mariah May. It was one heck of a match. And Queen Admiana, there's somebody else they should add to the AEW roster a little bit more often.
Absolutely. We've seen her a few times in like, I think it was on AEW Dark and Dark Elevation back when those were on. And she's kind of been an outstanding talent that's kind of gone quietly around the indies, like in not much like that I've seen like people talking about her. I think we need to see more of her.
True. And I just don't mean just getting somebody over on their debut for a company. No, I want to see her get some wins and get pushed just a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay, so my second honorable mention comes from Friday Night SmackDown. It's Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate versus Pretty Deadly. It was advertised as Pete Dunne and a mystery partner versus Pretty Deadly, and we were wondering who they would get. It was a reunification of British Strong Style, and it was a fun freaking match. And maybe just having David here in Knoxville and me and him chatting about this match as it was happening, bumped this match up to my almost top 5 matches of the week. All right. Okay, so do you have any honorable mentions you want to mention?
I got a couple because Wrestle Kingdom was nuts and there was a couple of crazy shows this week. I don't really have to talk too much about them. These were just matches that I wanted to mention people should see that just didn't make my list this week. From the New Year's Dash, Blackpool Chaos Club versus TMDK. That's Okada, Ishii, Danielson, and Moxley taking on Zack Sabre Jr., Shane Hayes, Kosei Fujita, and Mikey Nichols. And Danielson and Zack Sabre Jr. in the ring, their segments alone are just beautiful. Surprisingly, I fought to put this one on, but in the end, I didn't put it on. The triple threat, Ospreay, Mox, and Finlay for the global title. Fantastic match, and Ospreay just continuing to kill it on his way towards leaving New Japan. Again, Tama Tonga taking on Shingo in kind of like an unexpectedly great match for the Neverweight Open title. Thought that was really good. I thought the IWGP Heavyweight Tag Team title match was very good. Clark Connors and Drilla Mahoney taking on ELP and Hikuleo. And then Yota Tsuji taking on Yuya Uemura in this grudge match. And I just got to say, I cannot wait to see what these two do this year. And then just 2 shout-outs from Dynamite, OC and Dante Martin, and Garcia and Strickland. Just 2 great matches on a great show Wednesday.
Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and do my first official top 5 match of the week. At number 5, I'm going back to Monday Night Raw. It's Rhea Ripley versus Ivy Nile for the WWE Women's World Title. And this was a great match. Going in, I knew Ivy probably wouldn't win this match, but she had a heck of a strong showing. And I do believe that Ivy Niles can be a legitimate contender to take that belt off of Rhea Ripley down the road. Or maybe if you have somebody else take that title off of Ripley first, Ivy Niles is a good underdog size pit bull kind of baby face. And I just want to see her do well in the WWE. Very good. Very good. So what is your number 5 match of the week?
So my official top 5. So number 5, I also went with the women's match, and mine was your honorable mention, Mariah Mays' debut taking on Queen Aminata. I was unfamiliar with Mariah Mays' in-ring skill before this match. This was the first match I have seen from her. I was blown away by this debut. I'm excited for this. I know there's an eventual match with Deonna Purrazzo down the line. We know there's going to be possibly a Toni Storm match down the line. I can't wait to see what's going to happen with her.
Ashley, ever seen that one match? I kind of want to go back and just Google Mariah May matches now.
Yeah. I've heard nothing but good things before her joining AEW, but to see it in action, and especially against somebody as talented as Queen Aminata, fantastic match from both ladies.
Okay, so my number 4 match of the week, I'm going over to Friday Night SmackDown, and I'm going to the other WWE Women's World Title match. It's Io Sky versus Meecham, or Mia Yim as we know her. That was one heck of a match, and Mia Yim used a second rope style clash for almost a pinfall, but Io retains his title. It's a fun match. No interference from damage control. Go check this out.
Awesome. Got a lot of women's matches in our top 5s.
What is your number 4 match of the week?
All right. So my number 4, I'm going to I think the match of the night from Collision was FTR taking on House of Black in a fantastic tag team match.
That was one heck of a match. And just the fact that they had Hardwood's daughter there ringside, and the fact that they kind of played her into the match just enough to get the fans going, and this crowd was ready to riot if FTR didn't win this match.
Yeah, they get the win, but like a post-match beatdown by House of Black, a kind of like cameo with Julia Hart coming out and doing a 10-bell salute for FTR. I'm kind of hoping we maybe drag this out till Revolution.
Well, I got a feeling that we're going to see a 6-man fight here with FTR getting a new addition with Daniel Garcia being their team member versus the 3 members of House of Black. And I can't wait for that match. That would be a fun match.
Yeah, that could definitely be something on like maybe a Collision leading up to it and maybe a blow-off match at Revolution. I know that's in early March, so we got a couple of weeks still. So
okay, so my number 3 match of the week is one of your honorable mentions. It is Swerve Strickland versus Garcia. Coming out of the Continental Classic tournament, you're wondering what they were going to do with Garcia. And if this past week is any example of what they're going to do, they got a plan. He's going to be a babyface, and they're trying to push the heck out of him.
I love Daniel Garcia and Swerve Strickland are both 2 dudes that in 2024 are going to have like nothing but the world in their hands going forward. Garcia's push is going to be crazy, and Strickland, I mean, odds are him being champion at the end of the year, by the end of the year at least, are very high. And like you said, young Daniel Garcia is absolutely killing it in this kind of like new role in this new push he's had.
Very true. So what is your number 3 match of the week?
All right, so my top 3, it was crazy hard to put them in order. I feel like I could put them in any order and be satisfied, essentially. But number 3, I went with the Wrestle Kingdom main event. Tetsuya Naito taking on Sonata in a very emotional match. Tetsuya Naito defeating Sonata for the championship, and post-match getting beat down by Evil, getting saved by Sonata, and kind of Sonata earning the respect of the New Japan fans in the Tokyo Dome. Just overall crazy emotional, and despite some rough spots because of Naito's condition right now, a stellar match from both guys. And as long as Naito being the champion right now anyway, I could see him holding on to it for a little bit, putting on a few more matches, and then maybe dropping it back. I know his condition is rough right now, but I'm just very happy they're giving him one last title run.
Exactly. It feels like this is a thank you for your service kind of title run here for Naito. And he well deserves it because this dude has put in a lot of years with New Japan Pro Wrestling, a lot of amazing matches. And this may be the official face turn for Sonata, which is kind of weird to say.
Yeah, no, it definitely seemed. And in the crowd giving him the Sonata chant in the Tokyo Dome, like getting to Sonata so much so that he cries on the ramp was kind of a moment that I think is going to kind of like affect his character and his going forward.
Very true. So we're going to my number 2 match of the week. It is also one of your honorable mentions. It's the triple threat for the New Japan Global Heavyweight Championship, as it's David Finlay, Will Ospreay, and Jon Moxley. I had a feeling that maybe New Japan Pro Wrestling was going to make this title maybe their Travel Around World Championship title, and maybe they would let Ospreay carry it as he goes to AEW and wherever else he goes in 2024. But they made the call to go with David Finlay, and now the leader of the Bullet Club has a quote-unquote global title or world title. And after about 40 hours, I feel like maybe that was the better decision.
Yeah, I think it was a good call for New Japan. Obviously Moxley already being in AEW and Will Ospreay on his way to AEW, it makes sense to at least have the initial win be by the solid New Japan guy, at least right now. So I'm happy with that. If they do end up turning it into something like that, I could definitely see maybe Ospreay taking it from him down the line anyway. And, of course, he won it through all sorts of Bullet Club shenanigans, so it wasn't like it was a clean victory by any means.
No, not clean whatsoever. No. And hey, side note, Will Ospreay's final match with New Japan Pro Wrestling for the time being is inside of a month. It's February the 13th, if I remember right. It's in Osaka. It's going to be the first cage match for New Japan Pro Wrestling in 20 years, as it's the United Empire versus the Bullet Club inside the steel cage.
Yeah, this is going to be insane.
That is going to be insane. We're going to be covering it here on the show, too. So what is your number 2 match of the week?
Okay, my number 2. Again, I think 1 and 2 are just as interchangeable as any. Konosuke Takeshita, Darby Allin, Dynamite. We kind of got a glimpse of it in the 6-man tag match a few weeks ago. So I'm so glad that Tony Khan saw what everybody else saw and decided to put these two in a one-on-one, because this was brutal and fantastic.
This was like 15 to 20 minutes of Darby Allin just letting Takeshita throw around like a Super Bowl.
I don't understand how Darby Allin does it. I don't. I'm flabbergasted every time he is in a ring, and I don't know how his back manages to make it through anymore. The rolling suplex on the stage, the knee as Darby did the plancha to the outside, Takeshita met him with a knee. This just insane, and I genuinely hope it's not the last time we see those two in the ring together.
Well, actually, it's not going to be the last time we see those two guys in the ring, because coming up this Wednesday night on Dynamite is Powerhouse Hobbs and Katasha versus Sting and Darby Allin in a Tornado tag team match.
All right, so let's go. Let's see Sting get in there too now.
Okay, so my number one match, probably no doubt what my number one match of the week is. It's New Japan Pro Wrestling. It's the semi-main event. It's Okada versus the American Dragon number 2. And I just love this match from the beginning, because they kind of have a little bit of sportsmanship at the beginning. Then Okada just goes like, dang it, I'm tired of it. I'm going to just put that to the side for a second. I'm going to rip off that eye patch and stomp the heck out of the American Dragon. And we see the American Dragon, Bryan Danielson, he does the yes chants with the crowd for the first time in forever. And you see tears of joy going down his eyes as he's having this match. And the whole story of this match is Danielson is out to break the right arm of Okada so he can't use the Rainmaker. And Okada gets so fed up with Bryan Danielson that he nails the Rainmaker, and he sells the fact that his arm is hurt. And when they go to handshake, Okada makes him shake his left hand instead of his right hand because of the arm.
No surprise here. My number one as well. Fantastic. And just a moment for Bryan Danielson to be able to wrestle in Japan again. And against somebody like Okada. I love these matches they've had. And then I loved the post-match stuff where the show of respect. And then kind of seemingly earning each other's respect so much they teamed up at New Year's Dash. I kind of can't wait to see some more interactions, especially because we got very strong call out after New Year's Dash. So
it's going to be interesting, because now we go into this period where we are not sure if Okada is still signed with New Japan Pro Wrestling, or is he testing the waters to see if he goes somewhere else? Because remember last week we were talking about, we're hearing rumors that his contract is coming up here at the end of January, early February, and he hired the Young Bucks agent, and we're just waiting to see where he falls.
Yeah, not sure if the change in the structure of New Japan has kind of enticed him to stay at all, or if he's still going to, at least, like you said, test the waters. A crazy time for everybody. I would be very shocked if he did leave, but also sort of not shocked.
We'll have to keep our eyes open to this one, because I can see it go either way, because I can make a strong argument for him to come over to the WWE just for the simple fact that Okada has done so many years in that New Japan Pro Wrestling system, and the beating that takes on you. He's looking at his friend Shinsuke Nakamura and go like, hey, I can do that. I can come over to the WWE and wrestle kind of like Shinsuke's schedule and have a toned down style and not have that impact like week in, week out as he does in New Japan Pro Wrestling.
Yeah, and I mean, there's certainly options too, that would allow him to still be at least have matches in New Japan. It'd be insane that if he left, especially with, like I said, like the whole change with the president and everything stepping down and Hiroshi Tanahashi taking over. I feel like that was all done to entice him to stay. So we'll just have to see, like you said. It's going to be a crazy end of the month, though.
Oh yeah, we're just getting started here in 2024 on Ready Free Professional Wrestling. Before we go, Ashlee, where can we find you on the super information super highway?
I am on Twitter, and it's at groovy_ash_.
And ladies and gentlemen, David the Smart Mark is here in Knoxville, Tennessee, and we're going tomorrow to see the Iron Claw, and we're going to try to do a recording after that, so you may get a special edition of Ready Free Professional Wrestling later in the week as me and David catch up and review this movie. I can't wait. This is going to be so much fun. And you can always follow the show on Twitter at RadioFreePW. If you missed that episode, go over to www.radiofreepw.com. And until we see you next week on Radio Free Professional Wrestling, Ashlee, it's always our groovy and stunning era. Guns up.
Guns up.
Christina here. On behalf of the guys, thanks for listening. Like the show? Do us a favor and share it with a friend. Have a stunning question? Email it to the show at radiofreeprowrestling@gmail.com. Until next time, this has been Radio Free Pro Wrestling. Stay stunningly.